For nothing. Oh, now we're live. Fuck it. We really are live now.
All right,
Something happened.
You get no song. You get no intro. Welcome to Dysfunction Junction. Fuck you.
We're coming in hot.
Chris Burns, Mike Herman, Christopher Lynch.
Chris Lynch.
We're all here.
Hi.
Y'all go stuck my ass.
Once again, what the fuck is going on in Texas?
It's in the water. It's got to be the water.
It's in the fentanyl.
You know, you've got a Mexican white supremacist. You've got that may or may not have a brown guy but that may or may not have deliberately drove into that. He was drunk. Yes, we know that. That's a fact. It's been determined. Yes, he ran over a bunch of people, but the fact that it may or may not have been an accident. So, given the guy's background, you've all seen some of the shit that's popped on the news in the last day. You've got a tan supremacist,
yeah,
and I don't even know where to begin. It's like the Dave Chappelle skit where the black guy doesn't know he's black and he's blind, and he's telling all you niggers need to get the fuck out of here, like he's a white guy, but buddy, you're black. It's literally like a Dave Chappelle skit. I don't even know where to start with this.
The beginning would be this guy obviously has this mindset of, you know, what we've all determined some of these crazies are as really far right-wing crazies. Very hateful, clearly. Hates a lot of people, but here's the thing with me, with the manifesto that he left thinking he was going to die. I think they have him in custody yet.
Oh yeah, he's been arrested. He's done.
Okay, so the manifesto he left behind checks off way too many boxes on either side. You know, hey, I was inspired to do this by the libs of TikTok because I hate Jews. The person that runs libs of TikTok is an Orthodox Jew. I was inspired by Tim Cook, who's a leftist. This guy doesn't make any sense. This is mental illness to the hilt right here. And I can't tell if this guy's being serious, if he was just a homicidal maniac, or he really believed in all this bullshit. I mean, we've seen the tattoos, we've seen the posts, how quickly they came out with the brown supremacists, but we still don't see the manifesto of the trans shooter from the Christian school. Because it doesn't fit, in my opinion, it doesn't fit legacy media narrative.
No, and I hate to say it, but I think you're absolutely 110% correct.
What's worse is they show all of these Facebook things and things they took from his computer where he mapped out the mall that he shot up. They show, you know, he looked up the peak times where the most people were going to be there, which you can see anytime you go to the Google machine and say you look up Texas Roadhouse. It's going to show you the peak times. This is where it's the most busy. I try to avoid that. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't want to be around a million fucking people.
Because we're not trying to kill a bunch of people.
Right, but if I was, what would I look for? The peak time. He mapped out the stores that were the most popular. This guy went to the hilt. But, yeah, let's not point out the fact that he was deranged. Let's just point out the fact that he was this, as Herm said, a brown supremacist.
Well, the problem is we don't have it now. What we don't have, and my thing is that is we don't have all of that yet. What we have right now is all we know is what we've been able to dig off the surface. Mm-hmm. So we've seen the white supremacist tattoos. We've seen his posts. We've seen his Facebook page. What we haven't done is we haven't spoken to anybody yet that as regard, and we haven't even. It's still it's an ongoing investigation, so it's very fluid right now. But we haven't even gotten to the point where we've figured out if he's seen somebody for mental health. I mean, the media is just the media is just pulling what anybody can scam off of any social media platform. They haven't dug deep to decide anything, so they can only report what they know at this point, and that's what they know. His social media presence, some of the manifesto things, stuff like that they found. I think we're definitely going to see something more on this. We've got to. There's got to be somebody that comes out after it's got to cool down, and then people will talk.
But here's the thing, this is within the last 5 to 7 days. We still don't know the motivation behind the Christian school shooter because it's an ongoing investigation. We can't release that information, but
We don't
have
still-
all
we
this
don't-
stuff on the brown supremacist.
We don't know still don't know the reason behind the guy who did the Club Q shooting.
Good point on that.
There's lots of these that we just don't find out reasons why.
Understood.
I'm not, and it's just another case. I just don't know, if you always find out, because I think you need to know, like, what was the reason this guy did this? Who wasn't looking for something?
Right.
Who missed?
We missed.
Who missed something?
What did we miss and why?
I look back at all of these, and now that the more details that come out about the person who committed this atrocity, I'm not understanding how the signs weren't there. I mean, have you ever been around this guy at a cookout and he's got his shirt off and he's got the SS tattoos? Have you not seen the patch Right Wing Death Squad on his jacket?
Yeah, but those tattoos were all the drivers at the guy with all the tattoos was the guy that ran people over.
Oh yeah, sorry, wrong one.
The guy is the guy that ran people over. The guy that did the mall shooting was like was the I haven't seen his picture actually.
The brown supremacist.
Yeah. Well, the brown supremacist was the guy who ran over the people at the migrant center.
They're
The
all
guy
brown
that did the
supremacists.
shooting at the mall, it was done for some other reason. It was done for it was one particular store in the mall he was pissed at,
I'm gonna look
and
that up. Real quick.
I'm not sure what it was.
I think he got fired.
It was a specific store in the mall that he was bent about. And that's then set his plan in motion. But yeah, like the brown supremacist, that's the guy that ran over all these motherfuckers. Like, dude, you ran over, and like, I gotta be honest. The one family, it was the family. I don't know where they're from either. Somewhere Asian, and I don't want that to sound racist or biased. I don't want to misname them nationality.
All right,
I know there was.
I'm gonna read this. I gotta read this.
It was a family. Everybody in the family was run over by this guy. There is a 6-year-old little boy that is the lone survivor of this family.
The gunman who killed at least 8 people and wounded a half dozen more at a Dallas area outlet mall was a 33-year-old suspected neo-Nazi sympathizer.
Oh, another
Law
one.
enforcement said. Allen police on Sunday identified the shooter as Mauricio Garcia. Garcia was killed Saturday by an officer who happened to be at the Allen Premium Outlets 25 miles north of Dallas. The gunman, who lived in Dallas, was armed with an, quote, AR-15 style assault weapon. Let's stop using that term. He was wearing a tactical vest and also had a handgun. More weapons and ammunition were found in the car. At the time of the massacre, he was wearing a patch on his chest that included the acronym RWDS. So both of these guys were brown supremacists.
Yeah, the media made a big deal. He bought like he had bought like $3,200 worth of weapons.
Which isn't a lot.
I'm going to be honest. As a registered gun owner and a legal gun owner in this state, everything I own is $600 to $700 the way I have it set up. So the cheapest thing I own is the tactical shotgun, and that was $4.5, $5. So like $3,200 really is not a lot. I mean, a couple of handguns, a couple of long guns, a couple of mods to make them shoot better or more efficient, and you're $3,000. So
Easily.
it's not really the dollar amount they're using is to try to impress, but really every gun owner is like $3,200 like is a well decked out real AR.
It's a good run right there.
You know what I mean? $1,800 for a fully decked AR that is an AR and not a knockoff. There it is. But I think the point they're trying to get is that he'd spent a considerable amount of money on some weapons recently. I just don't think the dollar amount for real people is a way to do it.
It makes no difference. It makes no difference. It sounds like a lot of money, to which most people it is. So the media kind of grabs hold of that, and it's relatable to the people who are watching the news.
Right.
The poor white folk who actually watch the news because they don't know what the fuck's going on in the world.
I'm of a mind of two things, and you guys can riff on this all you like. The media needs to stop labeling everybody with a gun a white supremacist. This is bullshit. We're talking about two Hispanic people.
They do. Not to interrupt, but they seem to only be two categories. I'm noticing. If they're not a white supremacist, they're a trans something. Lately, I'm not being a dick. I'm literally seeing it's white supremacists, or some sort of racially motivated, or it's a trans person that was picked on or has had an issue.
Well,
what's the third category then?
So here you go. You got both sides of the aisle here represented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. You got the extreme right and the extreme left yelling across each other in this big room, and it just sounds like chaos.
What sells more papers? Let me ask you that, Lynch. What sells more papers?
A headline. Sensationalism. Only giving you part of the story. Only giving you 3/4 of the story. So, tune in tonight at 11 o'clock when you should be going to bed. I got your interest now. You're going to watch it so I can tell you. I can tell you what you're going to think tomorrow.
It's a lot. Not that it's the same thing, but people died in either case. It's a lot like seeing a documentary on the station nightclub fire. The sensationalist thing is this brutal tragedy, which it was, just like the mall shooting, where people died. True.
Which they did.
True on both sides. But the hook is, and who's responsible? Who set this blaze? And stop. Responsible journalism does not include yellow journalism. And to me, in taking this young man who obviously had some really crazy far right-wing ideas and committed this atrocity, there's something more going on. But does that sell newspapers? No. What sells newspapers? White supremacist kills a bunch of people, yada, 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 yada. Fuck you.
Trans person.
Trans person goes into a school, shoots up Christian children, and we're gone. Here we go. Are we back?
I got you. I got sound.
Okay, that's good. I got video.
How about you?
This is exactly.
I've got video. I got Chris video.
Okay.
Oh, I got Lynch video. There it is. It's tightening up. Your bandwidth is coming back. It's slowly unpixelating itself.
What was the last thing I said to you, please?
Shit.
No, that wasn't part of it.
No, that wasn't it. He had the far right wing thing.
Oh yeah. So it's easy to jump on that, especially in a time where if anything's quote unquote bigoted or racially driven, all the legacy media. Let's be clear, 90% of it is very left leaning. I'm not saying anything that isn't true, and I'm not picking on those that lean left. I'm not, but white supremacy, bigotry, racism sells newspapers. It garners clicks on the internet. It gets you to watch the news program. Then when the facts come out and you find out, the person that shot up the Christian kids was a trans person, why are they shooting up Christian kids? We're not going to know because the Tennessee legislature has blocked the manifesto. With this guy, everything's out on the table. What's the difference? It's Texas. Texas believes in... I always thought Texas was great because they have the death penalty and they use it. You have an express lane to the electric chair.
No line, no waiting.
Exactly, but Texas isn't Texas is such a big state that you can have your left and your right and everybody just believes in the American dream. They're not that separated in their beliefs. They might be on certain issues, but let's be clear. People love saying, I'm from Texas. I'm a Texan through and through. Or if you go to San Antonio, I'm a Texican. Don't tell INS.
Yeah.
But to be completely fair, the media is not giving all the facts, and the stuff that's leaking through from places like the Daily Wire or Breitbart or even the New York Post, which I used to consider to be one step ahead of the National Enquirer. The New York Post just said, fuck it, we're going to put out the facts, and if you don't like it, fuck you. And it got them banned from White House press briefings. So they're doing something right.
Right.
I don't, and if people keep pointing at the gun, I'm going to say it one more time. A gun doesn't fire by itself. It has to have force and intent acted upon it. So
that's what I said earlier.
AOC can take her thumb, her tongue, both her legs, both her arms, and her fat fucking face and shove them up her ass.
That was what I said earlier. I was talking with Jen, and I was like, it's Texas. You're not going to hear anybody there say that the reason this happened was because of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to find, it's just not going to show up in Texas that it's the gun's fault. No, it was the asshole with the ideas that was holding the gun.
Mm-hmm. A bomb doesn't go up by itself.
Someone's got to build it, and someone's got to set it off.
Correct. That would be like saying, going back to just in our area, the Boston bombing 10 years ago at the marathon. Yeah, you can go all you want and have banned the bomber. How about you check the people that... None of us have privacy. None of us. You can look at... I said something while I was dicking around on Facebook one day with my daughter, and I saw a picture of Zach Wilde, and he had those gauntlets on his arms.
Yep.
I said, those would be cool. I'd like to get those for a concert. Guess what? I was inundated with ads for arm gauntlets for the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Your phone is listening. Your computer is keeping every bit of information. How are we not picking this out? But we're going to give Chris for saying the word artard on a chat, and I get a 30-day ban? No.
Right.
Fuck you. If you don't think the government knows, the government knows.
Well, I get a kick out of when Tucker Carlson said that, someone close to him said that, the government reads all your text messages. And he said, well, yeah, they're reading mine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did you do? What did you say? He didn't do anything outside of the normal routine. That's being read.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a secret. That's not news. Nor should it be implied. I had this discussion with my wife the other day. We had just watched something about privacy and all that stuff. I said, it's
they're not watching mine because I've said some shit and they not showed up at my door. So, and I've said shit that they should have showed up at my door for. So them niggas not listening to me because I've swatted myself by this point.
Well, then they're not doing their job because I sent them your info.
Yeah. But
go ahead, Lynch, please. You were having a discussion.
I was having a discussion with my wife, and I said, "Remember the movie Minority Report?" She goes, "Yep." I said, "That was 21 years ago. They made that movie. 99.9% of what the so-called future in that movie is now. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you go, your RFID can be just you walk into a store, the store there." And with manipulating stuff in air, Xboxes do that. Like controls. When we had the Xbox, who's you watch its camera thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Big Brother's listening. Trust me, I worked as Big Brother for 20 plus years. We were at least looking.
Well, that's like in the infancy of the internet. If you've never watched, what's the name of the fucking documentary? It was that Ignorant Oaf, Michael Moore.
Bowling for Columbine?
Yes, thank you. And they're talking about the dude at the gym, and this was in like the early internet days. We hadn't had MySpace yet. We hadn't had a whole lot of things, but he was in a chat room talking about how George Bush is failing the country and George Bush is this, and just basically exercising his First Amendment right, and feds showed up at his door the next day. Are you so and so? Yep. Did you say this, and this about the president? This is what I said about the president. Fuck your picks. How? Why? I understand the tech companies, but especially with a guy like this, how do you not see the red flags? And if you are big tech, why are you not reporting this? How?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody's got a vested interest in one level of this or another. I had this discussion with someone on the internet today about he's expressing a sentiment about gun violence. And he's like, we need more regulation. I'm like, you can regulate all you want. A criminal is going to get a gun.
Yep.
They have means and ways to get a weapon.
If guns are outlawed.
Whereas the responsible gun owner, never drawn it, never had to draw it, don't ever intend to. It's like having an insurance policy. It's there if you need to use it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you outlaw the gun, only outlaws will have guns. Do you think a gang member gives a fuck about your gun regulation?
No. They're bad people.
Do you think a Mexican drug cartel gives a fuck about gun regulation?
Well, and I also I circled back to that as well. I said, all these guns these people in our states are getting these guns from are from the cartels. It's gun where you have hard narcotics, you have guns.
Mm-hmm.
And you have people who will broker those guns to outlaw motorcycle gangs, to mafioso, to whoever the fuck pays top dollar for it. They really don't give a fuck. They want dinero. So I got a 55-gallon drum full of AKs. You want them?
But that's not where all of that. Yes, that is all true. And for organized crime of almost all forms, yes, that's how they're going to procure the weapons they need. The problem I think that we're seeing is that all of these shooters aren't procuring weapons that way.
They're buying them legally.
They're buying them legally in states that are a little loose. And they're buying them legally in states that don't have a really good background check. Like, every state's background check system is different. In Colorado, it's an FBI check.
Yeah.
It's not just, what have you done in Colorado? It's a complete FBI check across the board.
Oh, yeah, they're going to know if you owe milk money from the third grade.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a complete FBI check. I was like, all right, just do it. I don't care. I'm good with that. I'm not worried.
Don't tell them what you did.
But you know what I mean? Like, there are people that technically shouldn't, but, and unfortunately, there's nothing that keeps people from lying on the fucking paperwork.
Of course. I'm glad you didn't write down what you did at McDonald's in Gales Ferry back in 1989.
Have you ever been accused of being not sane? Oh yeah, but I'm not telling nobody that. That's that got me in trouble.
Every fucking day of my life.
Twice on Sundays. What's up?
Yes, sir.
And I also use the example. I've had my gun for several years. My neighbor, perfectly calm, full cucumber, and one day snaps. Grabs all his guns.
Yep.
Who's shooting? Are we going to try to predict who's going to go fucking psych? No.
Absolutely not.
And that's an unfortunate circumstance to somebody who was once stable is now not, and he has weapons. That's a very sad state. But who's to say that I'm going to restrict that? I'm going to abolish these guns. Abolition is, like you said, only to was having guns. You can't.
Yeah, how did prohibition work?
I even used the analogy, which of course was called, a false equivalency. That's like saying I'm going to ban cars and alcohol because I got behind the wheel of a car and killed a bus full of nuns because I was drunk driving.
You rotten bastard.
That's a false equivalency. No, it's
not. Actually, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. You're telling me that you want to make bullets $10,000
a false equivalency is what moms get on Mother's Day and what fathers get on Father's Day.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, at the end of the day, how many weeks was your gun sitting here on this desk while we did the show?
A month.
And how many people did that gun shoot?
Nobody.
Why?
Because no fingers.
No force and no intent was put
No
behind it.
intent.
A gun does not kill people without force and intent. It's the sicko behind it. And knowing Lynch and knowing, members of the audience like Zach and others and Herm sitting right here, responsible gun owners, you go to a range, you know what you're doing. If you go to a shooting club, you know what you're doing. You're targeting or you're hunting or you're doing something. You are not actively trying to kill people. That is the difference between a gun used correctly or any weapon used correctly, whether it's a sword or a stapler or a car. It's not a false equivalency, Lynch, and you were exactly 1,000% correct. How many kids, and you can look this up on your Google machine, how many kids die in automobile accidents every year texting and driving? I'll wait for that stat. Do we ban the cell phone? Please do. Do we ban the cell phone? But like Lynch mentioned, drunken driving. I know people have gotten in drunken driving accidents, paid their penance, and gone forward. Have we banned the car? Well, that car killed people. No, the person behind the wheel made a mistake and something went wrong.
Right.
Zach says, my guns haven't shot anyone by themselves, to specify. Understood? Thank you for the clarification. Not that we needed it, but I appreciate it. I wholeheartedly appreciate it. Zach won the contest last week, and he can suck my balls. He ain't getting paid. That's not true. You will get paid, my friend. You win a contest, we pay the prize. Oh, I don't have it in me anymore to be... I want to be tolerant. I want to be tolerant of everybody, but I don't have the patience anymore, if that's a better term, for all the rumor and innuendo that goes out whenever something like this happens. We always have to point a finger at this person or this group or this mentality. How about you just say what it is? A psycho fucking person picked up a weapon and killed people.
All right, so I got some numbers for you, Bernie.
Please do. Go ahead.
All right, so this is from updated numbers up to this point, 2023.
Okay.
Bold typing. In bold letters, texting kills more teenagers than driving under the influence. Texting while driving causes 1.6 million accidents per year, resulting in 333,000 injuries. And to breaking it down to minutia, texting while driving causes 11 teen deaths per day.
11 teen?
11 teen?
11 teen deaths.
Oh, 11 teen deaths. Okay.
And wait, go back to that one number. How many deaths from texting and driving?
Texting injuries per year is 330,000. So, but they break it down. They skip that step and go right to per day. So 11 teen deaths every day.
11 teen.
11 teen deaths.
I know.
Yeah, we're just fucking around. 10, 11, 12, 11 teen.
330,000 injuries and or deaths per year texting and driving. I'm going to do a little math right now because I just looked up another stat and I want to make it a positive equivalency. 13,900. We're in May, so we're going to call it by 4 months. So 4 months, that's 3 times 3 would give you 4 times 3 is 12 months in a year. That means in America, 41,700 approximately will die of gun violence this year in America, whether it's crazy people in a mall or gangs or, crazy white men who come home and find their wife in bed with another man or vice versa or whatever. Yes, I understand that's a bad number and it shouldn't be that way. But if I'm taking Lynch's number of 300, and I'm gonna break it down, 300. What do we call it? 330,000. We're gonna divide that by 12. That means 27,500 people per month are injured or killed texting and driving. Ban the cell phone right now. Get it done. Come on, let's do it. Get our state legislatures on it.
All right, here's some older information. This is from
Yeah, I mean, you're doing 11. You're doing 11 a day, so you're talking 400 people a month.
Yeah, so here's some older stuff from 2018. 237 distracted teen drivers ages 15 to 19 were involved in fatal car crashes. Now, again, this is 2018, so we're going back 5 years. Of the 3,070 teen drivers involved in fatal car accidents, 237 of them, or 8%, were distracted when the collision occurred. Of all the 2,688 drivers, all ages, who were involved in fatal car crashes, 9% were teenagers.
Keep telling yourself it's guns, kids. Keep telling yourself it's guns.
And that's going back 5 years, and that number only ever goes up.
Exactly.
You don't see that type of number going down. However, you do see numbers of violent crimes per city going down, because some states are doing some things right at the local level and cracking down on crime.
At what point, again, and this goes to, not that anybody in the mainstream media is ever going to watch our show, and if they did, I want answers. When are you going to stop pointing the fingers and crying the blues? I actually would like to take this video, once it's done and it's uploaded properly, I'd like to send it to little Miss Horseface herself, AOC, and say, dispute these numbers. Then come back to me and cry your blues. Or that idiot triangle-headed fuck David Hogg, who I joust with on Twitter once a week. And I do it gladly. And I send him stats. Mike, your numbers are off. Here's the actual numbers brought to you by the government you love so much. And yada, yada, yada. Here it is. Dispute it. Nothing. I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me on Twitter or banned me outright. And I tried to get blocked by Paul Stanley this week. Fuck that guy, too.
All right, so let's talk about him for a little bit.
Sure, why not? Let's get away from shooting.
What exactly did he say that has risen your ire?
I'll give me a second. I'm going to the story now. Talk amongst yourselves. Have a good time.
Well, basically, and Chris will clarify it when he reads it, but basically, Paul made statements that he wasn't very trans supportive and wasn't their biggest ally.
For kids.
Right. For the gender affirming care for the kids and whatnot. Nothing about the adults and the community itself. More along the lines of how he feels it should be handled with children. And then Twitter lost their minds, and the blue wall of shame came and jumped on his case, and he kind of backtracked and let me clarify what I really meant. And what he really meant when he clarified it wasn't the gist of the statement he made when he said what he said.
Because I read the original statement.
Okay, so you read the original statement. I'm trying to find it both.
And he was pretty clear in that he's all for trans care when you're not a kid.
I found it.
He was pretty clear in that.
Right. So on April 30th, Paul Stanley put out a tweet that said, "My thoughts on what I'm seeing. There is a big, capitalized for emphasis, difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing or even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of game, and then parents, in some cases, allow it. There are individuals who, as adults, may decide reassignment is their needed choice, but turning this into a game, normalizing it in some sort of neutral alternative, or believing that because a little boy likes to play dress up in his sister's clothes or a girl in her brother's, that we should lead them steps further down a path that's far from innocent or what they are doing. With many children who have no real sense of sexuality or sexual experiences that are caught up in the fun of using pronouns and saying what they identify as, some adults mistakenly confuse teaching acceptance with normalizing and encouraging a situation that has been a struggle for those truly affected and have turned it into a sad and dangerous fad. 1,000% correct.
Yeah,
I will not argue that point.
So here I am in my mind. I hadn't read what he came back with the second time. I'm like, why is Burns pissed at this?
Oh, here comes the other tweet.
Hold on. Let's
Go ahead.
now. I can back that. All right. Brenton had a period when he was
Brenton
so
didn't
small.
have a period. He was a man.
He there was a period of time
Thank you.
where Brenton.
Al. Oh my God! Hell in every religion.
And where he there was a wig from something, and he used to wear this wig and put it on, and his mother was a hairdresser, long hair, big beautiful hair. There was a whole bunch of things going on about it. And he would dress, and he was a princess, and look at my hair. And then he wouldn't do it. He would take a pair of his pajamas and put the waistband around his head, and then take one of her like scrunchies, and then tie the legs together, and that was his ponytail. All right, so under today's line of thinking, I should have immediately started giving the child hormones and should have started transitioning him to becoming a girl. I think the point like Paul's making, I forget the word he used. Basically, it's was it acceptance?
Normalize.
The difference between accepting and normalizing.
Right. Accepting was that this is not necessarily a life-changing decision. He's 2.5. He's 3. Acceptance is this is a stage. He will grow out of this. Let's see where it develops.
It's a kid being a kid. I mean,
Right. I mean,
the fuck?
the kid's macking your daughter right now, so we know that didn't happen. I questioned him about that the other day. I'm like, yo, so I was talking to him. I was like, yo, so you're friends with Emma on Facebook, huh? Yeah, you know. I was like, oh, all right. I said, that's kind of cool. He's like, yeah, you know, we did the show. Okay. All right. All right, my man. Just checking.
Before I read the other tweet and subsequent tweets, mine and others on the same thread. Brenton Lewis, I'm going to say this once. That's my daughter and I love her. And I don't have a problem going back to jail.
Oh, that one I don't think you got to worry about. That one's good.
Fair enough. So here's
good.
5 days later, like Herm said, after he got the blue wall of shame, here's Paul Stanley's tweet. While my thoughts were clear, my words clearly were not. Most importantly and above all else... Oh, shit. I just lost it. Give me a second.
Take your pill.
It has nothing to do with my pill. It has to do with my fucking phone being stupid. Oh, look, Chris Lynch liked my reply, so I'm right back at the tweet. So all I had to do was click your like. Thank you, Lynch.
Yeah, you're welcome.
While my thoughts were clear, my words clearly were not. Most importantly and above all else, I support those struggling with their sexual identity while enduring the constant hostility in those whose paths lead them to reassignment surgery. It's hard to fathom the kind of conviction that one must feel to take those steps. A paragraph or two will remain far too short to fully convey my thoughts or point of view, so I will leave that for another time and place. Basically, I got shit on, so I'm going to pull back everything I said. Notice in his second iteration of this, he spoke nothing about the children. That was part one for me. The original post was about the children. But the more yap that went on, and you have 50 dates coming up leading to your final concert ever, You just basically you said something that was 90% true, and then you turn around and go, "Well, I'm sorry I didn't convey the right thoughts." I tweeted back, "Fuck you, coward." So much for counterculture rockstar attitude. You spoke the truth and then you caved. You can eat shit. Block me, I don't care. But if you had a spine, you'd never have walked back your comments. By the way, how do you explain to your children your womanizing ways? Mic drop, motherfucker. Let's see. Mike Harlow on Twitter says, your words were perfectly clear and you had millions standing behind you. Instead, you're the one who now has gone through... Instead, you're the one who has now gone through sex reassignment surgery since you just handed the woke mob your balls. Netrunner says, wow, it only took 48 hours for you to go from leave the kids alone to my bad, y'all. This is so brave. Did you get whiplash from that 180-degree turn?
That's a good one.
What? Paul Stanley caved? I never would have saw that coming. Apologizing to the woke mob never worked. Should have kept your dignity. Please don't apologize. Your instincts were correct. Your words were clear, loud, and will help children. Don't apologize. It's not easy, but it's worth it. In your defense of children, if your defense of children put you at odds with some people, it might be a sign that those people are not the good guys. This goes on. This goes on. These are people. Suddenly the kids don't matter because your career is on the line in some way. You coward. Wow, they must have canceled you hard. Shouldn't back down or apologize. You were right. Paul, you folded like a cheap suit. You bowed to the mob. Again, you can go read this. I can send you. This is... here's one that I wouldn't have seen coming. Paul, I am 60, and I started hormone replacement therapy a year and a half ago. If you want to hear about my journey, please send me a message. I respect you as a person, but I won't lie. When I read what you wrote, I had to struggle to find kindness in it. He was speaking of kids, person, not you as a 60-year-old. What part of the children do people not get?
Because they don't get it. They think that you can make that choice, and you're able to make that choice whenever you decide, whenever your sickness tells you to make it.
When I said on this show, I don't know how many months or even a year ago, I brought out things that you can't do as a child when you have to be an adult to do. Drink alcohol. Driving a car, you start around 16, but your brain is developing. You're mature enough.
Right. It's not technically about a level of responsibility for driving. We issue driving license because they're at an age where they have enough good motor skills and time judgment and motion. It's good enough to start putting you on the road. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you're able to judge distance and speed a little better than a 5-year-old, so you know when to pull out and when not to. You don't really get good at that shit till you're our age, and you're like, nah, I got time.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to. But yeah, it basically comes down to you're able to make the correct operating decisions. So it's kind of the same thing as being an adult.
Verbal riot. I bet somebody you would fold within 2 weeks. Thank you. It only took you 5 days. Oh God! Show me more replies. Thank you.
So yeah, there's a bunch of things you can't make decisions as a child.
Pretty much, and you can't make that decision at 8 years old because you haven't hit puberty. You don't know who you really are. I don't want to hear anybody tell me my 5-year-old thinks they're a cat. Therefore, we're going to go get a litter box and feed him from a bowl on the floor. Because that's the same fucking thing. If you're a teenager, you've hit puberty, you start to have that feeling, that mentality. You feel that way. Live your life. I've said it 1,000,000 times. I don't have to participate in it. I will respect you because it's your life. Herm, are you going to die?
No.
Please don't die.
Please don't die.
When you get past puberty, you learn your body. That's when your body starts to come to you. You start to come to your body. Everything meshes. I've said it 1,000,000 times. But when it comes to a child, pre-puberty, and in some cases, like this Jazz Jennings, when they were 2 years old, no kid. Hell, I thought I was Batman for a year of my life. I'm not Batman. Now I'm a fat man, but I'm not Batman. So would it have been okay if my parents went out and got me a fully functional Batmobile and all the cool toys and gadgets?
That would have been fucking awesome.
It would have been fucking awesome, but it doesn't make it right. Paul Stanley was correct. Paul Stanley walked and caved and took a knee to the woke mob. He was talking about children. He was clear in his first tweet. If you're an adult, do your thing. I feel for your struggle, but don't do this to the kids. It is a dangerous thing for kids to not learn who they are before they make a decision like this about their feelings, their mentality, and their bodies. He was right, and then he walked back. Fuck Paul Stanley.
Well, you know, if that's hurting his bottom line, he's going to do what he has to do.
Oh, no, come on. You're talking about a group that it doesn't matter. They could put out an album of farts and sell 1 million because it's fucking Kiss. And people are hot for that nostalgia. Their last 2 records, for what it's worth, were barely passable. 5 good songs, 5 fillers. Sold tremendous amounts of albums. The shows, full every single fucking time. You know, this is a group that knowingly and willingly takes Ted Nugent out on the road every now and again. And if there's somebody out there who says some fucked shit, it's Ted Nugent.
Oh, yeah.
No problem with it. Kiss speaks to a lot of crowds. You know, obviously the theatrical rock crowd. I like to call it the pro wrestling crowd. They're living embodiments. Kiss plays to the NASCAR crowd. Now, go to a NASCAR race near you and go to the roadside tents. Don't look at the gear inside because that's all driver and track oriented. Go to the tents lined up outside that are selling gear. You know what you see in those tents other than T-shirts, hats, flags, and posters of your favorite driver? MAGA flags.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Look,
It's on. Just look at the hats in the crowd, bro.
Oh yeah, this is a fan base, not including me, because I didn't give a shit when they said no, you can't do this. I'm like, good, I didn't do it anyway. We're banning the Confederate flag from our properties. Good.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You know, when you go to a facility like New Hampshire Motor Speedway or Yankee Stadium or TD Garden or Mohegan Sun Arena, or what's the one out by you, McNichol Arena in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you can go to
you've got the Broadmoor, you've got Invesco Field.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a racetrack out here. There's a half dozen within a half hour of me here.
You got one
drag strips.
I was going to say you got one of the baddest drag strips in America, right
Yeah,
near
like
you.
literally like 10 minutes, 15 minutes down the road. There's a badass drag strip.
But when you buy your ticket, it says right on the back, and not everybody reads it. When I was a kid, I read it because I'm like, what's all this writing on the back? And I read that when this is a license to come into our property, here's your code of conduct. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. Thank you, fuck you, bye. The racetrack is no different. And if the racetrack says no Confederate flags, I ain't watching NASCAR no more because they're woke. No, they're not. They're taking the symbol that divides our country, regardless of what the flag and the Confederacy actually stood for. Slavery was one part of it, and it still invokes bad memories. Good. Get rid of it. It was the best move they ever made. The next thing they should do is ban Kyle Busch flags, and then I'd be happy. But it's like a concert. If I go to a concert, I want to be entertained. I like entertaining bands. Kiss, Ghost, Motley Crue, hell, Travis Tritt, Garth Brooks, whatever. Prince. You know, whoever. Not that Prince is going to play anytime soon.
I was going to say, that'd be one hell of a fucking impressive show right now. I'm not going to lie. I'd have tickets to that fucker if it happened.
I'm there to be entertained. That's why I don't see these politically driven bands, because the last thing I want to do is sitting in a crowd and this song is about, you know, fuck Donald Trump, or this song is about, you know, fuck abortion, or this song is about this. No. Play the fucking hit and move along.
Entertain me. Thank you.
Right. You want to hear about that shit? Go watch Rachel Maddow. Go listen to Matt Walsh. You know, I do that on my private time. I don't try to bring politics into a conversation other than here where, you know, we kind of like doing it. But I'm not going to go, have dinner with someone and just to have fun and start talking about, well, the repealing of Roe versus Wade is actually a good thing because it puts the onus back on the states to regulate themselves, which is in the Constitution. No, I want to talk about how was your day? Your shirt looks nice. Are those tits real? I want to have a conversation. I do want to know. I always want to know if the tits are real.
Yes, mine are real.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, man. I dropped something.
Oh, shit.
Speaking of slavery, what about reparations?
That took a turn. I'll say this once, and then you guys can discuss it amongst yourselves because I don't have too much to say about it. Slavery was abolished in this country in 1865. They fought hard and long, started with the 3/5 compromise, and then worked its way forward to full-on equality, which every human being should have. For people to claim now that racism is bigger now than it was 50, 60 years ago, they're ignorant. And secondly, why should you get paid for something your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother went through? You suffered none of that. Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Yeah, I don't get that whole California reparations thing.
California was a free state, too. It was a sanctuary state for slaves. Want to remember that one?
Yeah.
It was a sanctuary state, but it also wasn't a state. It wasn't a.
Lynch, are you gonna die?
No.
It wasn't a. It actually wasn't a United States state of the Union until 1890.
Nope. Good call by you.
You weren't even a state that was involved in that war. You were at most you were a territory at the time.
Well, if we're going to give reparations away to people who suffered from discrimination and things of that sort, I'm not negating the terror and the atrocity of slavery in our country, but how about Japanese Americans come to this country during World War II?
Ain't nobody ever apologized to them ever.
Nope. How about Italian Americans? You're going to live 15 to an apartment in this little section of New York until we can figure out what to do with you. What about Irish Americans? What about Mexican Americans? Anyone with any lineage who has anything going back, whether it's 100 years or 500 years, no. Because each one of us could look through our lineage and find slavery at some point, because slavery is not a Western European white person thing. Slavery went on in Africa up to and including the late 1990s.
Yeah, we just were the first people to the white people were the first people to figure out how to make it pay for itself.
Mm-hmm. And we're also among the first to abolish it.
Right. We were. There were a lot of places that had slavery after we got rid of it completely. We tried it, we realized that we kind of fucked up, and we kind of stopped. A lot of places have had it a lot longer than we did, and they had it longer than we got after we stopped.
And if I hear one more thing about colonization and stolen land from whether it's a Native American person or a white person, be they 4 or 400, because they're all over the map, about how we're on stolen land. Go back and read your Native American history from before the Europeans came here. Y'all were stealing each other's lands like a motherfucker. Stop.
Well, they were fighting back and forth just for survival. That's really all it was about. The problem is that the whites came in and took everything that they were doing their thing.
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm not either. And I mean, and while you've brought it up, thank you very much. While you've brought it up, and we're talking reparations, can we talk about the Native American Indians? And because they're still having it done to them as we sit here.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that whole government overwatch reach is basically they've got them penned up like animals or slaves, and there's very little that it's rough, bro. So if we're going to talk about reparations, then can we talk about some Native Americans that are still sitting there that way, the ones that can't get casinos?
Correct. I'm not going to disagree with you one bit. I think what people forget today is they look for shit to bitch about. And I'm entirely 100% true. Figure it out. The jackass a couple weeks ago that I talked about, you guys know who I'm talking about, who puts up the picture of the Catholic priest and says, "This is the man in the dress that wants to indoctrinate your children, not a drag queen." Like, how's that not bigoted? How? Oh, you're just going to be one of those white guys. Shut the fuck up. Just because you call something bigoted doesn't mean you can go out and say something bigoted in return. How about the Jewish hate that goes on in this country? How about the anti-Asian hate that goes on in this country? How about, hell, the anti-white sentiment that is ravaging this country?
But you bring up racism, and I have a couple interesting thoughts on that, and this kind of jarred my memory by watching Steven Crowder's "There Is No Such Thing as White Privilege" changed my mind.
Fuck Steven Crowder.
I know he's not your favorite, but when he does those change my minds, he brings up there's a lot of good points are brought up.
I'll give you that one. I will give you that one.
For anyone, like you hit the nail on the head earlier, for anyone to say that we're more racist now than we were 60, 70 years ago, read a fucking book.
Watch a video. Ask someone who grew up in that time.
Listen, go back 40 years to when we were in high school. I got out of high school from the years of 1992 to 1995. I've applied for every cop job I could throw my fucking application at and my resume at. I didn't get. I made it through physical and up to the oral boards, but I didn't get selected for any fucking one. Where was my white privilege in those years? Oh, I did. I guess I didn't get a dose of it because they hired minorities and women.
Well, yeah, you probably got passed over, and I'm not saying this as a racist, but as a truist, you probably got passed over for an affirmative action style candidate because it's very big.
So I got passed over, even though I was in the top 5% of my class, to guys who barely passed. Where was my white privilege?
Let's talk the truth. I was going to say, let's speak the truth. There is none.
There is none nowadays.
No.
There isn't anything that I was given that somebody else of a minority class doesn't already have an advantage at. I'm a BC student. I'm looking at colleges. My parents make just enough money where I'm excluded from a whole bunch of financial opportunities. Whereas if I am determined a class that is a minority, I have scholarships, I have grants, I have stuff that's just given to me. Where, all right, I don't see I don't have an advantage there. How is that an advantage to me? It's not. And you know what? For all these years, we just sat quiet and just let it happen. It's just the way it is.
Part of that I have an issue with is I have no problem with the equal opportunity. I don't have any problem with, things like that at all.
Well, neither do I, Chris. It's just that those people waving that white privilege flag, they didn't live through that. They haven't lived through that type of thing.
We're just doing what we learned.
They haven't they haven't experienced anything like that in their lifetime.
Excuse me, sir. We have white privilege.
We have white privilege.
We are a very unique generation. We have seen the beginning of a lot of fucking things. The internet.
At the end of a lot of things.
And the end of a lot of things.
At the end of a lot of things. We saw the dawn of the internet. The home VCR. National cable news.
Yep. I was going to say cable TV.
Cable TV.
We've watched all the real technology happen in our lifetime. When we were kids, we were watching. When we were little kids, it was 26-inch big console TVs in 480 definition. Yep. All right. We've watched it that we had to pull out of the fucking air. That's the only way. You got 4 channels. The 3 majors maybe five, a local channel and PBS.
Let me throw something
You
at you
might get
guys.
your Rhode Island channel there.
Since Lynch brought this up, I really have to jump on this because I hear all these kids and you see like take 9/11 for example. 9/11 fucked all of us up in one way or another. Okay, so when I hear someone say, "Well, I saw that on television. It's so traumatic, and I have PTSD," no, you don't have PTSD. You're a wuss. Even back to when our parents were teens. Let's go back to the 60s. We watched Kennedy get shot live on TV. We watched the space shuttle. Some of us were homesick.
Dude, yep.
Some of us were homesick and watched Bud Dwyer blow his fucking brains out live on television.
Yep.
We saw
and
Waco. We saw 9/11.
some of
Reagan
us
assassination.
some of us were ushered into a classroom like it was a special fucking event
And it was.
by our teachers and everybody that we thought was there to protect us and take care of us. They ushered us into a room, a big one, because they packed a lot of us in there with a big ass TV, and they said, "Watch this cool stuff. There's a teacher going up." And we sat there and yeah. So it wasn't we sat there and we watched it
And 96 seconds later, we watched
In-
7
in-
people lose their lives.
in school. It was a school event.
Yeah.
We've witnessed 2 assassination attempts. Actually,
That's
3.
correct.
Gerald Ford, Ronald
Ford and
Reagan,
2 Reagans.
2
and the Pope.
Reagans.
And the Pope,
The Pope.
1980.
That's
Hence
right.
hence the reason for the Pope Mobile.
Pope-mobile.
That's right.
He loves God, he hates crime, he's coming to a town near you.
We're in violation of John 3:16.
Fucking love that shit.
We've seen tragedy
Robo-Pope.
firsthand. So I'm sorry that your mommy didn't get you the dolly you wanted. You don't have PTSD. A battered woman has PTSD. A soldier has PTSD. If you watched your family die a horrific death in a fire, you have PTSD. You don't have PTSD from seeing something on television. You're just
Yeah, I mean, alcohol and drug use in a house can parents and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
There's another great reason for PTSD, but because you didn't get the thing you wanted, that's
get-
not
I was an abused-
that's not abuse.
say that again, Lynch.
My mommy didn't love me. I didn't get my Xbox Series X
Listen to
for
me.
Christmas.
I'm aiming at some of you who hate watch this show.
I need
and then-
love.
At some point, you come to me and go, "You were wrong on these 5 points. Come on the show." But I'm gonna tell you this right now.
I'm waiting to see your ass in the fucking comments list.
Even better than
got
that. Email any
faces
one of
right
us.
here.
We'll give you the box at the bottom next to me.
I dare you to send me a fucking
You
email.
don't.
Brady
I
Bunch.
dare you.
You didn't leave a terrible childhood. Maybe your mom and dad worked as hard as they could, and you couldn't get all the shit you wanted. Maybe they said no to you a time or two. Maybe, just maybe, they made you clean something, or you had to go rake something or shovel something.
Well, the
Weren't
problem
you-
is
You weren't neglected. Shut the fuck up.
the problem is that Gen X kids were raised like feral. Okay.
Oh yeah. were.
We got breakfast, and then we're told to go outside and don't come back till the light comes on. Mm-hmm. And we did. We'd be gone for
what?
10 hours, and there wasn't a fucking adult on the planet that knew where the fuck we were. We were 3 towns over on our bikes.
Hold that thought. You're
I'll bet-
frozen.
I'll bet every one of us at some point got on our bikes and just on a whim, on a day, tried to ride the fuck out of our state.
We took.
Or go as far as humanly fucking possible before I had to go back to beyond by the light.
We had a dump. Lynch is still frozen, by the way.
Yeah, he'll be back.
We had a dump in our neighborhood that
I
the
can hear
owner.
you.
Okay, the owner of the neighborhood had like a little dump that he made for himself, but he didn't go there but once or twice a month. So we took 55-gallon drums and a bunch of plywood. These were the most unsafe things you'll ever see in your life. Built ramps that when you're young
Death
and you're about
traps.
4 foot
Complete
10,
fucking death traps held together with splinters of wood and some shitty, wilty, rotten-ass rope you probably found.
we
Duct tape.
rode as fast as we could, hit that jump. We probably got 7-8 feet of air, Nobody got hurt. None of us had a helmet.
There's no safety gear. Come on now.
One kid usually knocked the fucking wind right out of himself because he hesitated before he went over the jump and just kind of went. But it always happened. But
Drove off
nope.
to the side.
But nobody ever fucking died.
You grew up around. If you grew up around this area, every winter, the first really good snowfall, you went to the Norwich Golf Course and you rode what hill? Suicide Hill.
Suicide Hill. And then you got really fucking brave when you got older and tried to do the St. Peter and Paul's death run.
We tried that in our 20s. Don't let people fool you. Herman and I tried that shit in our 20s.
That you do the Saints Peter and Paul death run.
We called it avoid the statue.
Avoid the statues is really what the game is. I don't know what to do. Avoid the statues. Go. Yeah. That's it. It's the fucking St. Peter and Paul death run.
Yeah, please. If you're on the Groton side, on the other side of the river, it was Washington Park.
Yes.
Oh, that hill.
That hill's a motherfucker, and it was awesome when it would like ice over.
Mm-hmm.
You get some air. Mm-hmm. You'd be taking out some kids.
You were crossing the river without trying. If you hit a particular jump,
I was going to say if you hit it just right, you go all the way across the fucking ball field.
Yeah, and then hit the skating pond on the other side of the ball
field.
You
hit all the way across the fucking ball field.
We had you guys.
We all should have died, all of us, multiple times.
One of the hurricanes that we had in the 80s, a tree fell. We used to play in this. It was a dried up. I want to say it was a riverbed, but it wasn't a river. It was rather small, but it had this really cool dip to it, and we used to, again, like idiots, jump our bikes over it. But where that path where we used to jump our bikes over it, the tree fell. So what did we do? We're geniuses.
We're putting a board over that bitch.
Nope, I got one better because this is real. Every kid in the neighborhood raked their leaves, and we'd usually dump them in the woods on the other side of the neighborhood. We dragged those trash barrels up. We filled the ravine, and we would get up on that log and superfly snuka into the leaves. There are sticks in there. God knows if there was an animal living in there.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody gave a shit.
Random steak knife.
Yeah. Basically, we took a chance on our lives once a day, and we lived to tell about it.
For real.
And now you got people crying the blues because, my mommy didn't give me the dinner I wanted.
Well, I feel a lot of it is a lot of our generation's fault because those are our kids. Okay, so the problem is that we weren't fucked with. All right, I was a latchkey kid only because mom and dad had to work. I mean, not in any sense of the word. Like you think latchkey kid like some poor. No, we weren't poor. We were middle class, but I was a latchkey kid. I came home to an empty fucking house from like the age of 6, and there was extreme rules. You came in, the key's hidden here. You use it, you put it back.
Take off.
You lock the door. You don't let anybody in the house until I come home. You change out of your clothes and change into play clothes, and then you do some homework and watch TV. You can go outside when I get home.
By the way, young people, our play clothes weren't designer. It was just last year's school clothes. So we all looked like High Water Jones going outside.
And they were tight. You couldn't walk because it was last year's pants. They were tight. You always worried about you playing in them and split your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
And the t-shirts a little snug.
Yeah, but the problem was that we were like raised feral, all right, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit. So we grew up the generation that, as parents, we wanted to make sure our kids were loved and had everything they wanted. All right. Now the problem is there's people that went too far with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I wanted to make sure my kids have everything they wanted, but we had to do it within the means that I was able to do it. But still, that was the goal, to make sure they had more and to be better and to have a better, just a better childhood. The problem is there's a bunch of people that fucked it up and went too far and got way too soft.
Well, that's where the helicopter parents came up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Our generation was our generation was the first generation that actually had helicopter parents as a concept.
Yep. Where you're constantly involved in your kid's life, and you're like, You know, you go to everything together: the grocery store, the movies, vacation. Fuck me, if I was on vacation with my mother, I'd kill myself. Fuck that.
I didn't mind going on vacation with my parents because it was probably one of the few times I saw my dad in a good mood. Was on vacation. So that was always fun. I liked going on vacation. Get this, 14 years old, my brother, 12 or 11. Here's a ticket. Go fly down and see your grandparents.
That's cool.
14. You do that now, they have to get a proctor. You know, I said you have to get a proctor.
The what?
Thank you very much, asshole.
Sorry, I was.
Herm's upset because that's a joke from 30 years ago, and he's just not. Thank you very much. You know, Emma flies to see my parents once a year. In fact, it used to be, you know, one of them would fly up, whether it was my mom or my dad or even my brother. I'd meet them at the airport, or Stephanie would meet them at the airport, and she'd go down.
Here's my kid. Don't kill it.
Right. Now, you know, whether it's me or Stephanie that drops her off, they have a proctor, and all they do is, here's your seat. When you get off the plane, you're going to go down that corridor. You're going to find this. When you get to your gate, you tell them who you are. You tell them that you have, you know, your proctor card, and they're going to make sure you get where you got to go. That's not bad.
Is that what she does? What she gets now?
Yeah.
Oh, Brenton didn't even get that. Tam pulled up to the terminal, threw him out of the fucking car, and said, "All right, have a good time." He went.
I'd have pinned $20 to his collar and said, "May the odds ever be in your favor."
He went.
Get the fuck out.
He went. Checked in. He had everything on his phone. He checked in. Went through everything like a goddamn fucking adult.
Good. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case this year with them.
He's like, literally. I was like, "So your mom like walk you to the terminal?" He's like, "No, no." She dropped me off at the fucking curb and left right there.
She yelled, "Where are your parents?" and sped the fuck away.
Right. Tell your father I said, "Hey, get out."
Right.
Tell that lousy good for nothing.
Nah, she would never say that.
We've become, and I used to say this, you know, I've said this for years. Lynch will tell you, and I'm sure Herm will tell you too. And some of you in the comment section have known me for a lot of years to know I have long been upset by the complete wussification of America. Kids can't do shit nowadays.
They're sissified.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite word. They're just sissified.
Oh, I call it wussified.
Same thing. The kids are just sissified.
You know, when we were kids, and I hate to keep pointing this out, but we were tough. We used to see how high you could swing and then jump off. And I watched a kid fall off a swing not too long ago and didn't utter a sound until someone saw him.
Yep. He was fine.
Yep. But the minute somebody locked eyes, the waterworks came.
I skinned my knee.
Yep, pretty much.
But again, like Herm said, this is the world we've created. And I hate to say it like this, but it kind of goes to the points we were talking about, be it Paul Stanley or the shooter, or we haven't even touched on the
subway guy.
The subway guy or the asshole with the car. We've created this because now everything has to be special and everything, you know, everybody has. I say it like this, and I'm 1,000% correct. Everybody in one way, shape, or form has a mental illness, whether we admit it or not. We're all fucked up in one particular way. Not everybody needs to use it like a crutch. If you are a person and you're fucking up, and your mom or dad or your boss or your teacher comes at you and gets in your face, you've earned that. Don't give me this, well, I have anxiety and you shouldn't talk to me like that. Shut the fuck up and do your job. Stop leaving your drawers on the floor.
Basically.
You know, there have been times, any one of the three of us, with the exception of Lynch and Herm going at each other, I've gone at it with both of these two. Nose to nose over things either I've done, Lynch has done, Herm's done, or what have you. You know what happens? None of us cry the blues. None of us cry anxiety. None of us, oh my God, I need a safe space and a hug and a bottle of hot cocoa and some crayons and maybe some paper so I can write down my feelings.
That's not how it works. It's worked out.
Mm-hmm.
You work it out, man.
Yep. Whether it takes a minute, an hour, a month, whatever, you get it done. And we've created this in these children, and some of these crazies are our children, not ours in particular, but
They're of that generation.
correct. When you see a 21-year-old, go on a shooting spree, do the math. Their parents are around 40, maybe older. My daughter's 15. I'm 50. So there's always a window.
Right.
So if you're in your early 20s, if your parents aren't between like 40 and 55, you probably had a mom who, or even a dad, or even both, who either got married young or just got pregnant young. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Well, I think,
Right, like Trav is what 25 now, I think.
yeah.
26 coming up, isn't it?
I think so. In February, is it 26?
This coming February?
I don't even know how old my fucking kid is.
He's over 18. Fuck him.
But like he's is he fucked up in the head? Absolutely. But
He's
is
determined.
he balanced enough to survive and to work in society and not be afraid he's going to go off a bunch of people? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the job. That's kind of, isn't it? I mean, it's our job as parents to scar our kids a little. That's how they learn.
I agree.
But you also have to make them function. Like that is your job, is to make them function.
Sure.
To figure your kid out and figure out how to help your kid learn their cope mechanisms and make your kid function.
Well,
I see this generation as the invisible generation, because they're so self-absorbed in themselves, they just kind of disappear, because texting, Facebook, you name it, that their eyes are on it, and it's just they're kind of feral in a different way. Whereas we grew up pretty quick, but by the time we were 13, 14, we had a pretty good understanding of what the world was like because we were tough kids. Where now 13, 14, 15, even, they're so sheltered because they just haven't been paying attention. Because
Right.
They missed out on so much because of where they're putting their nose.
I want to jump on that just a little bit.
It's not 3 inches past their nose. That's
Yep.
as far as they've gotten.
I'll jump on that for just a minute, and it even creeps into some adults, where
Absolutely.
when you were telling that story about 13 then versus 13 now, and yes, the world is a different place. Do not inundate me with these messages, all you haters that hate watch the show. I'm just glad that you watch or listen. I'd like you to come on and debate, but I would look at that and go, 13 is the new 7. Because the 13-year-olds now are kind of, like you said, sheltered to the point where they act like 7-year-olds. So you hear adults that went through that as a child and say, well, 30 is the new 20 or 40 is the new 30. No, 40 is 40. It's always going to be 40. It's always been 40. Knock it off. We're all 50. But I still go to shows. People say, when are you going to grow up and stop going to concerts? When they stop throwing concerts, or I'm
Yeah, I didn't realize that was only a kid thing. Like I don't enjoying music is only for the young. Like what the fuck?
Depending on who you ask,
I look at the three of us and outside of the circle, other friends that are all our age or a little bit older, and I don't feel nearly as old as I thought my dad was when I was a kid. You know what I mean? We act more like we're still 20-year-olds trying to figure it the fuck out.
I'll give you that one, Zach. 32 feels like 45.
Yeah, wait till you feel 50, asshole.
Yeah.
See, I don't feel 50.
Wait till 40. It gets worse.
Yeah. My 40s were the best. I'm not gonna lie.
You get what I'm saying though, is that when I was a kid, at 10 years old, my dad was old, and as he got older and you got older, they didn't act the way we act.
Mm-hmm.
They were a lot more reserved, where we're just fucking three knuckleheads who say whatever the fuck we feel like, because that's just who we are.
Right. And we have a platform to do it.
Well, and we surround ourselves with people like that too. So to us, this is normal.
Well, look at it like this.
See, my dad was nuts.
Yeah,
so
he
was
was.
mine. So was mine.
My dad was nuts. So like
I want-
my dad is just very much like I am. Just
I
so
watched members of my family, and I'm not going to say who. They know who they are. Lots of them. When they get to a particular age, they think it's time to shut down, get rid of the Black Sabbath records, get rid of the Beatles records. Let's get some nice, easy listening, just some country music or something. Lots of them. And life doesn't end because you hit a particular age. I still go to concerts. I still go to ball games. Hell, I'm going back to Hartford for a hockey game next week to watch the Wolfpack.
I'm going to do whatever I want to do as long as I feel good enough to do it for as long as I can.
Bingo. I mean,
Yeah, do I jump off the tailgate of the truck now? No, I squat down and get on my ass and then hop down. Yup. Look, I'm 50 and my knees ain't shit. Do I know this? Yes. Am I physically fit to go to a concert and shake my head a little bit and drink a few beers and stand for an hour or two? Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like you're decided to climb Mount Everest. It's a fucking concert. You know, you're going to you enjoy what you enjoy.
I've listened to some of the stuff Lynch likes, and he should never be able to go to concert again because
Ever. He'd probably die. People would kill him. It wouldn't just be an accident either. It would be willfully killing him.
Dude, you're going to Fogarty for the rest of your life.
Oh, put him in, coach. He's ready to play today.
If he went to, go ahead,
I'm
please.
going to read you the list of shows we're going to, and this is all because of Megan. This is all under Megan's prompting. And
Oh yeah, blame Megan. That's
no.
that's
I think it's a good
Nice,
thing. I think,
nice.
This is a good. It's a good thing. It's not
Your
a
wife
blame.
ought to be happy to hear that.
We just saw Dane Cook. We just saw Fogarty.
What is jelly?
We're seeing Chris Stapleton next.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
It's all right. Go ahead.
Like him.
This is not that any of these people are bad. These are all personal preference, yays or nays. That's all.
We're going to see Pink.
All right. All right. I hear she puts on a good show. I'd give it a shot.
And
I'd like to see her. I'd like to see her Pink, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. We're going to
it's the
see.
same.
Going to see Ed Sheeran again.
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of concerts lined up, and then we have more. We're going to see Gabriel Iglesias at some point. We're going to go see Kevin Hart. We're going. We almost went to go see Chris Rock. You know,
I got.
And Megan's like, let's enjoy it a little bit,
Right.
because we had 2 years where we didn't do shit. We
I
didn't
had
go anywhere. We didn't travel.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, oh fuck it. We only live once.
Yeah,
let's
get
see
back
these
on the
people
horse,
that-
right? I had a guy get on me over my Five Finger Death Punch shirt after Derek and I went and saw Five Finger this past September. And it's a guy I know. He's not like, super close, but, we have interaction. And I was out and about and I'm wearing the shirt. And, hey, hi, Chris, how you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm not going to say his name because he was just being an asshole. He goes,
douche.
Five Finger Death Punch, huh? Aren't you a little old for that? I'm like, hold on a second. No, I don't see anywhere on the internet where there's an age limit on good music.
Right?
I'm going to see Ghost in August, and I'm going to have the best fucking time. I probably won't be the oldest guy there, and I'm probably going to, if I was allowed to, well, my friend that I'm going with would probably allow me on that, when they do the fake little mosh pit on the what do you call it, the walkway. I'll jump over the rail and show these kids how it's done. Lynch had to stop me because the circle pit at Anthrax was weak.
Oh,
It was weak.
It was weak.
It looked like they were all playing Ring Around the Rosie. And I'm like, dude, you guys, you are embarrassing yourselves. Stop it.
Somebody needs to get their nails trimmed.
Who, me or Herm?
No, the dog.
Oh, okay.
Not me.
Or is it your wife? Does she need to have her toenails trimmed?
Good granny. Is that like ASMR?
Red apple. Red apple.
What is this?
Mhm. Oh, so anyway, the Subway dude.
Yes, we'll touch on that quick before we roll. Again, I'll say my statement. You guys walk it because I got not a whole lot to say. Dude didn't have to die. Again, a normal citizen sticking up for his fellow man. polices the situation because the New York City Police Department sure as fuck can't. But like we said in the private chat, this guy was a Marine, and you just don't turn that off.
Yeah, you can't, unfortunately, and you can't just turn a Marine off. There isn't a switch. We put them through a shitload of training that we spend a lot of money to basically brainwash them and train them to be desensitized.
Marines especially.
Right. Hand-to-hand combat for a Marine is a very big deal. Mm-hmm. So you train them, and you ask a Marine, "Oh, you were a Marine?" "No, I'm a Marine."
They're always a Marine.
They're always a Marine. From once you're in, it's like the mafia. You know too much. You can't get out. They won't let you out. You're a Marine. You know too much.
Right.
So you can't just turn that off. Even if you haven't been in the Marines for 30 years, you're a Marine. So did the guy have to die? No. Do I think the guy went too far? I don't know. I mean, you got to ask the people that were on the train.
I guess they timed it. It was like 3 minutes and like 13 seconds before the guy started being unresponsive. That's a little long. In my book, that's a little long. Yeah. I mean, once the guy was like just about going to sleep, you release. I mean, this guy had a rap sheet 2 arms long, but he had a history of mental illness as well. Another sad case of somebody who needs help that can't get help or just doesn't want to get help. It's very sad. I mean, it's sad all around. I'm sorry the guy died. I'm sorry he was dealing with that. But, I can say I'm sorry all day long. It still doesn't fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He, again, didn't need to die. Did not need to die. And I think the whole situation is tragic, both for the guy who stood up and tried to subdue him in a situation where I guess they felt threatened because they were claiming self-defense. I wasn't there. I can't judge on that. So maybe he was justified for the length of time. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm only going to based upon what I've read and heard, and I don't take that with a big grain of salt.
I mean,
right.
My thing is, police showed up. So the first thing they're going to do is nobody's going anywhere. Everybody's getting questioned. So the police had it right then and there what the story was, talked to everybody on the train, found out what the story was. The police at that point hadn't come up with after that situation and everybody went home. All right, nobody was arrested. Nobody came up with enough to put anything together that somebody deliberately did anything.
Right.
In the legacy media, not long after that, the next day or the day after that or so, white supremacist kills black man on the subway.
Oh, I didn't see that. I don't know what channel that was.
It wasn't on any channel. It was in the New York Times.
Oh, I don't read the Times.
I look up headlines from the Times, and if I see something like that, I'll read the story. Yeah, they had this guy pegged as a neo-Nazi, and it wasn't the case. Once it came out that he was a Marine and all of that, they're like, "Oh, well, it's just terrible. Marines are violent people." Yeah, well, if your country's getting invaded, call a fucking plumber.
Well, there's a case at a local level. They just made an arrest. A 22-year-old kid who's in the Navy caused a fatal accident where his 2 passengers died, both in the Navy as well. He was arrested, processed, and released on a $100,000 bond, which people like, how the fuck can he walk like this? Is bullshit. He should rot in jail for the rest of his life. I'm like, you remember the part where the cops are accusing of him of this.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he did or did not do it is the court process. And if you read the 8th Amendment, everybody is afforded a reasonable bail. Involuntary manslaughter is not a guy you're going to be worried about doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not. It's also.
It's not a.
It's not considered a violent crime.
It's
not a victimless crime. It is not an actively violent crime.
It was an accident.
Right. It's inadvertent, and it's not the same.
So why am I going to put Why am I going to put a $5 million bond on him? Because he's not a threat. Most cases where it's involuntary manslaughter or reckless endangerment in manslaughter, you post a bond. It's a bond that you can post and walk around and do what you got to do until your court date.
Right.
Murder is something different. This guy didn't plan this. He didn't plot this, and it was an accident. He didn't have any intent on killing his two buddies. The military is going to tear him up, run him up and down the flagpole anyway. They're going to court-martial his ass. Or they're just going to say, "Fuck it, let it be handled at the state level. We're just moved him out of the Navy."
Right.
Either way, it could go either way at that point. But these people out there just crying the blues about how this is ridiculous and this. Of course, because he's a white kid, he gets to walk. No, you dipshit, because it's a process.
Exactly.
We are watching justice work in front of us.
There's a difference
between. Warrant. He was a warrant. He turned himself in. He was accused of these charges, and he was released on bond.
There's a difference between.
That's how the process works.
That's how it works.
If you
don't like that, I'm sorry.
If you accidentally burn your house down and your two kids die, yeah, you should be out on bond. You will stand in front of a judge, and you will get your due process, and you'll be tried in front of a court of your peers. If you're Chris Watt, fuck you, rot in jail. You've admitted.
Right.
You've admitted to the crime. You see, he still got his due process, but he admitted to his crime, and therefore, yeah, he shouldn't be afforded those same privileges.
No, and I mean, when he finally admitted that he, killed his kids and stuffed them in an oil drum out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, come on, man, what a piece of shit.
Yeah, you've kind of taken away any sort of right,
any sympathy. Any sympathy is gone.
Correct. And, people will point all day long to different cases over the years, and one of the favorite ones everybody likes is O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson maintained his innocent plea throughout the whole thing, not guilty, was tried by a court of his peers. He was set free. Rock and roll, you got your due process. Oh, no, he should get more. Never admitted to his crime. By the same token, Jodi Arias never admitted to her crime, was found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There's pictures of her there with the body, and she still says, "No, I didn't do this." Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, OJ's case, there's so many things wrong. The process was incorrect.
Well, yeah.
You couldn't convict him.
Yeah. The prosecutor, the district attorney, and the whole prosecutory panel on that just fucking failed. Failed miserably.
The fact that in a recorded phone call on a police line with the head detective, the district attorney said in a recorded phone call, "This is going to make me governor. When I send him to jail, this is going to make me governor."
There isn't a jury in the world that would have come. You pick any 12 people on the planet, given the evidence, they could not find him guilty.
There's another thing. Between the chase and the jury.
The personal feelings aside, based upon the evidence presented, there isn't 12 people on this planet, mix and match whoever you fucking want, that would have convicted him of that crime on that evidence.
And the thing with that is, we watched the chase and the whole court process on television. Couldn't escape it. And the fact that they found 12 people that could, try this case without any sort of bias, you could live on the moon, and you'd know about the OJ case.
Right.
It was everywhere.
Right.
It's like you couldn't sue to have it changed to a different venue.
Where are you going to go?
You could have done this in fucking Kazakhstan. Know about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. And especially now with the era of 24-hour news cycle, be it on your television, your phone, or your computer, you know a lot more of the facts before they actually get made public, whether or not they're real. I say facts in quotation marks because let's go right back to the Marine on the subway. Within a day or two, he was labeled a white supremacist. Then, as the facts come out, New York Times doesn't backtrack. They're like, "Oh, well, new information has come to light." No, you lied.
Yeah,
But that's what you do
assumed.
Best. You know, before we knew of the Tennessee shooter being a trans person going into a Christian school, they had all this shit. They were using the pronouns. You know, this man, wrong, went into a school and killed innocent children and 3 old people and yada yada. No, when the facts came out, you notice how quickly they backtracked. There must have been something. There must have been something deeply wrong. Yeah, they were crazy and shot people.
Right.
That's what was deeply wrong.
How much deeper you want to go? This is a pond, not an ocean.
Pretty much. Fuck. I've had enough.
Ooh.
I have had enough
Look,
of the world.
It's disco.
So I'm trying to put together a show for next week that you guys might enjoy. I'm not going to tell you too much about it. The boys know because I put it in the chat. Hopefully we can get everybody together. But that show will happen. It's going to be cool. It's going to be really fucking cool.
Yeah,
And,
baby.
if that doesn't happen next week, we'll figure something out. Hell, maybe another crazy person will give us an hour and a half's worth of quality things to talk about.
Oh, maybe.
But you know, we'll continue to ban the things that we'll continue to try to ban the things that didn't cause it. Let's not look at mental health. Let's not look at the way kids have been raised for the last 25, 30 years. No, let's ban the inanimate object that does nothing without you touching it.
Right.
Yeah, like my dick.
Yeah, you know that's not going to shoot anybody because nobody's touching it.
Right. It's just blanks. It's like a starter's pistol.
Those things used to scare the shit out of me.
It's a lot of bang, but no fucking follow through, man.
Wow. Wow.
When my dad was younger, he used to work part time at a marina, and he would bring the flare guns home, and I would shoot them off in the backyard.
Nice.
We lived right in front of EB South Yard.
Oh, that had to be fun.
Oh yeah. 9 years old.
Calling in fucking airstrikes and fucking crying.
9 years old, shooting flares at the boatyard.
The Ruskies are coming. The Ruskies are coming.
Shooting flares at a federal installation. Fuck.
We saw something come from over here. I was upstairs.
Yeah, Mr. Lynch, your son's dead. Sorry, we swatted his ass in the backyard. Nigga had a fucking flare gun, and we let him up.
We had a German Shepherd when I was growing up.
You know, we had the Red Scare when we were kids.
He would walk the fence line with the guys carrying the M16s on the opposite side of the fence, and the guys would bring her treats in the afternoon.
And here you are trying to shoot a federal installation.
What the
10,
fuck?
I was like 9. We just moved to the place.
Jesus
right.
Christ.
You know, the Red Scare was real back then.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't need Sting to tell me the Russians were trying to kill us. They were just trying to kill us.
We just knew they were trying to kill us. We knew it.
And now we got Lynch scaring the pants off of everybody in fucking Groton.
Jesus Christ.
They were like fireworks.
Oh, they were like fireworks, all right. Or projectiles, if you see it from the other side.
Yeah. What the fuck?
For real. They were like fireworks. Yes, dude, is that what that's what I tried to tell the judge. Your Honor, they were like fireworks. I was putting on the show.
We got tomahawks coming in at 12 o'clock.
Fuck. Roger, we have 3 inbound warheads at 12 o'clock. Jesus Christ.
Lynch, you didn't come from money, did you?
No.
So he would have had to hire the Reverend Pimp Daddy to
The
get him out of
Reverend
this.
Pimp Daddy would have had to get him out of that.
Well, you see, Your Honor. My
Allow
client.
me to fumigate
Get my wisdom upon this court.
You see, my client's retarded. And he don't act right.
That's like the idiots, and Lynch and I have heard many people say this over the years. you know, you can't blame me for that. I was drunk. I'm like, try that in a court. You stand accused of this. Your Honor, I was
I
drunk.
was drunk. I didn't. Not my fault.
Oh, shit. Well, let's let you walk right the
Oh,
fuck.
let's let you go right the fuck home then. Shit, my bad, bro.
You need
Nope.
cab fare? This was our fault. We're sorry.
We did this to you.
Jesus.
I'm sorry we caused you so much pain and anguish.
Right, we're sorry we inconvenienced you in any manner.
Let me give you some reparations.
The hugging station. is just past the
Jesus
kissing-
Christ.
The hugging station is just past the kissing booth.
Oh my God.
Kissing requires consent.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you got to sign a form.
Oh, all right. Well, if we're signing
Oh,
forms,
all right. We're signing forms.
You know, when you go to a restaurant,
You know.
that really spicy hot sauce, they make you sign a waiver.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Or, you know, Herm's Saturday cooking.
Yes. Guys, it's been real. It's been fun, but these subjects were not real fun, except for Paul Stanley. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
No thanks.
Well, you know, depending on what way you're swinging that week, Winterzoid.
Bingo.
Wait, did you have an edible?
Of course.
Paul Stanley will be here in 10 minutes.
Excellent.
We'll see you crazy fuckers next week.
Yeah, we will.
If you're lucky.
Oh my Christ. This is why we cannot have nice things.
So how many edibles would it take for you to get butt waffled by Paul Stanley?
Well, you see, my client, he was supposed to be aborted.